Yeah, I can see this. I can see the screen reflected in my eye of my glasses. Can you see that?
Yeah, you like a Terminator. Welcome to the Fifth Cheese. My guest, Matt Taylor, comedian, mathematician, some would say, all things debatable. So we kick off with the first question, which is, of course, why?
When you asked Richard, I thought the same thing as him, which was just because. So now I can't have that. And I was kind of really, I was hoping for different questions, really, because it feels like the top answer's already been taken. I feel like I'm on Family Fortunes, and now I've got to go for the second top answer, and that's always more difficult, isn't it?
It is.
Although I might win a holiday.
I mean, I know Barclays have extended the overdraft for 0% interest for a little bit, but I haven't really got the budget for a holiday, and I don't think you're going to be going too far abroad.
Not like you then, in space. Then.
This is my mind.
By the way, how are you managing to breathe in space?
Well, you can breathe for a few minutes before you die, and I'm hoping this will give me enough time to record the podcast. If not, I mean, what a way to go out. So we'll move on to the next question.
Oh, okay.
Unless you had an answer for why.
No, these are the hard questions. The why questions are the more difficult questions. The questions that science struggle to answer.
Yeah, so we keep moving. We keep playing on.
Okay.
I mean, science and us. The first ever edition of the Daily Mirror came with a free mirror. Would you like to see? Yeah, it did. Yeah. Would you like to see more of that? Perhaps some vitamin D pills with the sun, a bodyguard with the Guardian, or maybe a thermometer with the Leicester Mercury. Would you make of that? Do you think things should have gifts of themselves within themselves?
Yeah. That is a good idea. Yeah. So, like the first edition of Harry Potter would have come with a Potter. No, it doesn't work, does it? It doesn't work. No.
No, I mean that's obviously that's some.
What you're highlighting here is like the importance of writing, isn't it? With comedy, this is why it's so difficult when you don't actually.
Yeah, it's harder to improvise because that was pre-written, and that's pretty solid. But what you did,
you have the advantage because you've pre-written your questions, whereas
you could have easily.
Because I would have had the sun one. You see, if you'd have said,
yeah,
the mirror came with a mirror. Do you think that should apply to other papers? I would have said, oh, the sun could have come with a sun. You see, couldn't it? That would be
again. I think specificity is funnier. So even that vitamin D is still better. So in a way, I'm glad I didn't let you use that.
But you've picked you managed to pick off all the easy ones while you were writing. And you just left me the difficult ones.
Telegraph
could have come with a
telegraph,
an original telegraph machine made by.
I mean, what you're giving away is very heavy. Yeah. I don't think that's costs.
It's got to be cost effective.
I think so. Yeah.
So you want something cheap that won't immediately bankrupt the newspaper.
The newspaper, yeah. What you've done is destroyed journalism.
So the first copy of Smash Hits could have come with a packet of Smash potato.
There we go. Now we're cooking. Yeah, not legitimate mashed potato, but a variety of.
No.
Within the umbrella of mashed potato, it identifies as mashed potato, doesn't it? Only 4 Clives and 13 Trevors were born in the UK in 2011. Is that a problem?
I don't know. You see, I don't know what the impact that would have on the country as a whole.
Yeah,
I think it says something about the popularity or lack of popularity of historical Clives, and like Clive Sinclair or Clive of India, whoever he was. Who was
Clive
Clive of India? Do you know? Tell me something about Clive of India.
I think he hung about in India.
Was he racist? Everyone is.
Everyone was at that time, yes, and even now. In fact, us talking about it, I think maybe racist. So we'll move on.
Clive Sinclair would be disappointed.
He would.
I think Clive Sinclair would be, if he'd known, if back in 1983,
I mean,
he'd have said only, how many Clives? Was it?
I think Clive Sinclair is definitely on the racist spectrum.
Is he alive still? He's alive, isn't
he? He might be. He might be in his little car.
He's done every. I just totally ignored your Spectrum joke, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Should we go back to it? Because it was good. I think we should go back to there. And
I think we'll lose naturalism of the moment.
Do you think so?
Yeah. Pythagoras.
What about the spectrum? Did the ZX Spectrum have 7 or 6 colours in its rainbow?
Not inclusive enough, I don't think, however many there were. Pythagoras believed that he had already lived 4 lives, all of which he could remember. Others claimed he was able to travel through space and time and could talk to plants and animals. What do you make of that?
Who citation, please, for that. Who
I've not. I mean, that's BuzzFeed.
You made it up.
It wasn't me. It's just great investigative journalism.
Pythagoras was mad, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was mad, but he was also into maths.
Yeah, and I say to the kids at school, I say, you've got to question if somebody gets their name attached to something, so that in 2,500 years you're still talking about those people. They must have had something going for them.
We should clarify you're a teacher. You don't just rock up to a school to talk to the kids. Although if you're wise, you know. Now the thing with that is, it said that he could talk to plants and animals, which in of itself isn't impressive. It's if they talk back, isn't it? Yeah, we can all do that.
That's the key to it, isn't it? Really? That's
not even. I don't even know why they include that in the mad fact.
As if it's something as if it's a particular skill.
Yeah, Prince Charles does it. You know.
Yeah,
he's not bright.
Without the talking back, it's just
a monologue.
Yeah. That we could all do.
Stand up. Yeah, we could all do, and that's not an art, as we discovered recently. I've seen a few examples that prove that, to be fair. Here's a quote for you from a mathematician, in fact, amongst other things.
Go on.
So this is from Bertrand Russell. Okay. In all affairs, it's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on the things you have long taken for granted. You agree with that?
Well, I think it's important to always question everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Bertrand Russell was a bit mad as well, wasn't he? He was a bit. You've got to be a top-ranking mathematician. You've got to be a little bit different. Bertrand Russell used to change his mind a lot, didn't he? About things.
Brilliant. Great. That's why he was right.
Yeah, so you might, by the day after that quote, you might not have believed that quote anymore. You might have hung the question mark in front of that quote and decided
this is the Russell.
To abandon the quote. Like for a while, he was a nihilist, wasn't he? He didn't believe that he existed and that anybody did. He was like, and there's a story about him where, this is a story I've half forgotten, but there's a story where he said that he didn't believe people existed and he wondered why there weren't more people like that.
Yeah, well, he doesn't now, does he? So yeah, well, what things have you taken for granted that you hung a question mark over?
Taken for granted that comedy would always exist and that we'd always have gigs to do, and it always seemed like that was going to be the case, didn't it? But now it looks as though it's gone forever.
Well, it's hard, isn't it? You know, more people in a room laughing. I mean, look, think of all the spit coming off people.
Well, that's why we're having to do stuff like this, isn't it? You know, just
it's not ideal, is it?
It's not. No.
Aristotle said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." What do you think of that? You agree with that? Disagree? Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom.
chosen quite hard questions for me, haven't you? Really, it's quite.
I mean, it's yes or no. Can't be any easier.
But how would you? So does that mean on the way to getting to know yourself, you have no wisdom until you get to that place? That doesn't seem like a good starting. It seems like quite a complicated starting point, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if you don't, okay. So how about this? So Aristotle said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom," but Socrates said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing."
Yeah, I don't think they would have got on, would they? Plato was a student of Socrates, wasn't he? And then Aristotle followed on from Plato, but he disagreed with him fundamentally on the nature of things. So Aristotle was an empiricist. So
I'm going with Aristotle. I'm team Aristotle.
Yeah. Whereas Socrates was just annoying. He just used to go around pestering people, didn't he? And
yeah, that quote does seem
like nobody would like him.
Yeah, dumb. Yeah, like
just asking people stupid questions all the time. You'd say to him, like, if you don't know anything, why'd you keep talking to me about stuff? Why would you?
If you don't know you exist, why are you carrying on this conversation? I mean, I'm just trying to have a nice meal within my shield. Are there any equations that you think would help solve society from what it's become?
Well, I could postulate like a society-solving equation, and say that we were searching for it, like the unification theory. And
yeah, what would? Yes, there's a lot of examples.
Examples. No.
Time multiplied by feelings equals totalitarianism.
I don't know. What would be helpful is an equation that I could use in the book that I'm writing, so I could finish my book and then forget about it, and that would help. That would help me to help society, wouldn't it? Because then I could be contributing something better than what I'm doing,
or be detrimental to society.
Because actually this lack of an equation is keeping me from damaging society at the moment.
You're in a small room. I'm in a fucking
in space.
Yeah, I'm in space. I've got loads of room.
You were in the TARDIS the other day, though.
I was in the TARDIS, and I was renting it, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw you'd chosen the early 1980s model TARDIS. Is that your favourite version of the TARDIS?
If you go for an old thing, stylistically, in terms of fashion and aesthetic, I think you're guaranteed likes. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I remember that.
But you don't go earlier than that. You wouldn't want to go back to the days when the TARDIS was black and white.
I wouldn't go black and white. So I don't think things are black and white. That's a very binary way of understanding the world. I wouldn't want to impart that even.
That's the way they used to think about television in the olden days. They used to think that everything was black.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, you need to expand your mind. Although the TARDIS is big on the inside than the outside, it's not as big as space and time. So that's why I
asked a question about black and white things yesterday. I got asked a question by a child who said, we're talking about Roald Dahl, and they were talking about Matilda, the book. And I said, I think that was the last proper novel that Roald Dahl wrote before he died. And they said, so is he dead then? And I said, yeah, he died in 1988. And they said, but if he died, how did he write all those books? And I said, but he wrote them before he died. And they said, but if he died in 1988, why is the cover of the book in colour? Because everything was black and white then, wasn't it?
And you teach at a good school. And we end with the last question, of course, which is always, what was the fifth cheese of my pizza? My 5-cheese pizza. I had a 5-cheese pizza once. Can't remember the fifth cheese. What is it and why?
I think it's probably the most interesting cheese. I think you'd go for an interesting cheese. And I think the most interesting cheese is Cathedral City cheese.
I mean, you're making a strong case. I mean, are we going light, mild, extra mature, or vintage?
You see, you just turned an easy question into something difficult again. I think
There are
it's
more Cathedral City make more than one cheese. I'm sorry if you haven't done your research, but
so this is where my specialist cheese knowledge is.
you don't even have a base cheddar palette to discuss.
Medium cheese and medium Cathedral City
Medium
cheese.
cheese. That's a size. Mild. Do you mean mild?
I thought that was the difference between the cheeses, was the size, the dimensions of the block.
Do you mean mild?
Yeah, mild cheese. Yeah, mild Cathedral City cheese. Yeah. Have you got? I'll tell you why it's an interesting cheese.
Go.
Because the basic definition of a city is a place with a cathedral in it, isn't it? So, Cathedral City cheese, it sounds like it's telling you something about the cheese, but it's not. It's just city cheese, isn't it?
It's a tautology almost.
Yeah, it's just city. It could be cheese. All it is if they just called it city cheese and put a picture of a city on it, it would people that are going, oh, that could come from Wolverhampton or Coventry or somewhere.
I mean, that is a city now.
Yeah,
oh, I mean, I don't agree with that, but it is.
Right. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to pretend that the definition of a city is as simple as somewhere with a cathedral. In which case, it's just city cheese. And I think that's what you'd have in your pizza.
Yep. No, that wasn't the fit. That was the base cheese. Cheddar was the base cheese.
It's not cheddar, is it? It's Cathedral City. It's a different cheese.
It's a brand of cheddar.
Cheddar's not a city, though. Cheddar's not even a town, is it? It's just
a gorge.
It's a gorge, yeah. With a cheesy gift shop. Cut that bit out.
Yeah, well, I will. Don't worry. Lots of goods. Anything you want to plug before you go?
No.
Thank you, Matt Taylor, for joining me.
It's been the most fun thing I'll do today.
Probably.
Definitely. Yeah.